Yeah, hi, good evening everyone. We are really sorry for the technical trouble that we had. Yes, are we audible, everyone? Hi, once again, good evening everyone. So we are live now and please quickly show us the thumbs up if we are audible, everyone. Yes, hi Vivek, Ishan, Nalin, Denuka, hi everyone, Shiven, Gaurav, Aditi, Zaka the Star, Rakesh. Come on, guys, inform all your friends. The session has started. So yes, as you know that we have been preparing for Quant, LR, DI and all other subjects throughout the weeks and throughout the month. But it is high time that we also discuss something about interview and WAT, right? So that is the reason Unacademy CAT regularly organizes such guest session, and today's session is going to be on economics, which will definitely help you understand a lot many things, because we have an eminent personality from Pune, Dr. Ajit Sane. So I'm sure all of you are excited to be with us. Come on, guys. Yes, hi Rishika, hi Mudit, Ishan, Nikhil, Atmadeep, Harshit. Good evening, Nisha, Sejal, Akanksha. Good to see all of you. Yeah. So yes, guys, as you know, that session is going to be on economics, right? And we have with us Dr. Ajit Sane. And let me tell you something about our guest for today. It's a slightly different introduction because though he's a doctorate PhD person, but then you would have not seen this kind of academician somewhere earlier, right? So I mean, his Facebook picture, this is his Facebook profile cover. So that itself conveys, right? Do you know which place is this, everyone? Yeah, are you aware about this place? Yeah, so I'll tell you many things about him, but I'm sure you can make out based on this particular profile picture that he is a mountaineer and an avid trekker, right? So let me tell you something about our guest for today. He's Dr. Ajit Sane. Sir, I welcome you to our session on behalf of our students.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we have Dr. Ajit Sane with us, everyone, and here is a bit about himself. So he has done his PhD in economics, and he is a faculty at many premier B schools like Symbiosis and few others. He has been teaching students for last 20 years. And as I mentioned earlier, that he is not like a typical academician, the typical professor that you would have seen. So I'll show you a few other things about him, but he is also an entrepreneur, right? And he is a mountaineer by passion, and he also holds certain records on his name. So once again, everyone, please join me to welcome our guest. Yes, and please inform all your friends to be here, because it's going to be an amazing session. As I mentioned earlier, in next 45 to 50 minutes, Dr. Ajit is going to give you some really good inputs and will help you understand the macroeconomic concept, which would definitely be helpful to you in your endeavors in the future. So just to show you something about his profile, so I thought to take some pictures from his profile, everyone. Now these are not some wallpapers that I've downloaded from internet. These are the pictures that he himself has clicked during his various trips to various places. He has not only been tracking the places in India, but even outside India, almost more than 50 countries probably he has visited, right? So some of the pictures that I found very amazing, that we always dream of visiting, right? So these are some of the places that he has visited. In case if you have been to some of those places, I'm sure you can say he's also a photographer by his passion. So yes, let's begin with our session, everyone. I'm sure all of you are eagerly waiting for this session to happen. So once again, Ajit sir, thanks for accepting our invitation, and thanks for taking this taking out time to guide our students, and they are eagerly waiting for your input, sir. So starting with the economics, I mean, when the economic comes in front of us, the first thing comes is like macro versus microeconomics, right? So can you quickly help our viewers understand, I mean, what is the difference between macroeconomics and microeconomics, and what is covered in which part?
Right, sir. So the thing is, all these students I can see are of the age group 20-25, sir, 18 to 23 or something like that.
Yes, you can assume fairly.
Yes. So the moment they listen to the word economics, they are always a bit skeptical. That is not one of the most favorite subjects of students, right? So they keep on thinking as an MBA aspirant, how does economics have anything to do with them? All right, but that is what I want to pitch in. See, guys. Oh, hello. Zaka is waving me and saying hello. Okay. So economics happens to be a fundamental subject. All right. So whether you have got your salary of 10 lakh rupees, how you decide to spend that amount of money. All right. If you're a manager at a particular company, how many cars would you like to produce? How many shampoo sachets would you like to produce? Everything that you take decisions about is linked to economics in some way or the other. Right? So now, economics is a fundamental science that tries to understand how decisions are made. All right, and who makes decisions? Decisions are made by four different entities. Like you and me have to make decisions whether to attend this class or not, whether to spend 1 hour of my life on Sunday evening. Should I be at this class, or should I watch a movie, or should I treat my girlfriend or boyfriend? There are 2-3 things that you could have done in this 1 hour. So it is all about making choices. All right. So Indians have to make choices, households have to make choices, government has to make choices. So economics is science of making choices. Right. So even if right now you have only got macro versus micro in front of your screens, economics has got many other elements also. There are subjects like international economics, there are subjects like developmental economics, there are subjects like agricultural economics, financial economics. So economics, the word economics comes from the word economy, as you might have all been knowing this. All right. And what is an economy? Economy is the wealth of nations. All right. And how does that nation plan to allocate its resources? That is the fundamental of economics. So economics is all about making decisions. So anybody and everybody who wants to make decisions has to make use of economics. All right. In your life, how much of stats, how much of points, how much of HR financial use can be debated. But every morning you have to think about how can you make the best use of your time, of your money, and of your resources. So much more than maths, much more than science, much more than HR finance, you have to make economic decisions every single day. Right. Now, as you can see, there are 2 words that you can see on the screen. One is called as micro, one is called as macro. And I'm sure everybody of you has known of micro and macro for a number of years. Right from 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, you have been bombarded with economics. All right. So basic concept of economics is what? Micro means small and macro means aggregate. Right. So when you talk about the whole of an economy, what kind of monetary policy will government of India impose? Will the RBI impose? That will be macro. All right. But when you have to decide about how will I best use my first rupee that is available to me, when you make your own decisions, it is microeconomics. When your households want to make a decision, like for example, your parents might be thinking of buying a new car. All right. And they also have to make a choice of buying a new house for themselves and also paying your fees for your MBA. All right. So it's a choice. The moment when they pay the fees for your MBA, they might have to compromise on the purchase of the new car. All right. So households have to make decisions. So single individual, one single household, one single company. You have all heard of Tata Motors Limited, right? Yes, Tata Motors is known to you all. It produces cars. All right. Now, how many cars should the company produce per month? Is that a decision to be made? That's a decision. That's an important decision to be made. All right. So if the company overproduces cars, it will have large amount of capital blocked in the inventory of raw material, inventory of finished goods. Right? If it underproduces cars, if it produces less number of cars, it would have lost the sales. So it is important for the company to understand how many cars should have produced per day or per week or per month. So when the economic decision of one company is discussed, it is microeconomics. Tata Motors decision of how much amount of money to allocate to a new machine, one company's decision, microeconomics. One household's decision, microeconomics. One individual's decision, microeconomics. So micro means small. Any kind of decisions that are about individual units of the economy, that is called as microeconomics. All right, and summation of all these micros, sum of all individuals, sum of all households, sum of all the firms of a country, the summation of the economy as a whole is called as macroeconomics. So variables that are used in macroeconomics are a bit different. They are the same. Like we use demand, supply in microeconomics. In macro it becomes aggregate demand, aggregate supply. Aggregate means summation, sum of all. So when you talk about decisions of all the units of the economy put together, it becomes macroeconomics.
So I think yes, even Aman is saying the same. Yes, Aman, what you are saying is correct. Micro means related to one person, one entity, one individual, right? It can be person, company, anything. But macro means aggregate, as Sir has rightly said, right? So I think, yeah, so that's fairly, I'm sure students have fairly understood, right, about this thing. So yeah, students, before we go ahead, I mean, just want to quickly tell you about the sessions. As you know that Unacademy is India's largest online learning platform, and we conduct daily live sessions every day, 365 days. So if I just talk about myself, once again, my name is Ronak Shah, and my sessions are every day from 6 to 7 p.m. So if you want to learn quant LRDA with me, join me for my daily live session 6 to 7 p.m. Apart from that, I also conduct sessions on Unacademy Learning app 8 to 9 p.m. And I'm starting new CAT batches. We are starting 2 new CAT batches from tomorrow. Okay, that's for 2021. So use my referral code CHAR10 and join me for this batches, everyone. So this is just a brief idea about that. Do not forget to download Unacademy Learning app. Make sure all of you have subscribed to this channel so that you can continue learning with us. Okay, we have Dr. Arun Sharma who is conducting session on our platform. So you can also attend sessions from him if you have taken this plus subscription. So please go for that. Now, sir, coming back to the main thing, like we are talking about microeconomics, major economics and all. So particularly we are talking about economy, right? Okay, so in the economy, I mean, we have seen different types of economy. Underdeveloped economy like India is a developing economy, and we have fairly developed economy like US, UK, Norway and all, right? So can you help our students understand what is this complete process, complete cycle from an economy becoming an underdeveloped economy to a developed economy?
Right. So before we go ahead, I would like everybody to know that the focus of this class is building a foundation of macroeconomics. So we are not dealing with microeconomics. We are talking about macroeconomics. I have a question. I can say interesting question from Aniket. So decisions of state government is macro of central government. So if it is limited to a state, it is still macro. Alright, so because we're talking about a state as a whole, so state as a whole, country as a whole, both of them could be parts of macroeconomics. Right. Now coming back to the topic that we're discussing right now. Alright, does anybody know how many countries are there in the world? And I can wait for this for a second for others to respond.
Come on,
roughly,
everyone.
how many countries are there in the world?
This is a very interesting question, sir. I really want to see
how they respond to this.
We should get answer from 100 to 5,000, I believe. Okay.
195 plus. Maybe macro 196. Don't copy others' answers. You can give yours.
Okay. So.
Okay. So they've already said something around 199 and 197. Alright, so I'll just take a minute over here. I want to show these people one interesting site that I want them to refer to. Alright, so I want everybody of you to copy this name and then you can explore this on Google. It is CIA World Fact Book. Alright, so I want everybody of you to visit this site anytime when you are free. The site is called as...
It's not visible on the screen. So can you just share your complete screen? If you can just go to share and just click on complete screen. Or let me give you the share.
Whiteboard is not visible?
No. Yeah, now you can share your screen. Right.
Now is it visible, sir? Can you see the whiteboard now?
It's visible now.
Yeah. Okay, now I can see that. It's written over there, CIA World Fact Book. Alright, so those who are watching, I would request all of them to copy this in a notebook somewhere. You can take a screenshot of this. Yes, that's right. CIA World Fact Book. Central Intelligence Agency is the agency of the government of US. which compiles data of each and every country of the world. Alright, you think of a country and go over here, you'll find the complete details of the country, the geography, history, transportation, communication, military, everything about it. Alright, and if I'm not wrong, CI World Factbook has got data of at least 228 countries. Alright, so we can surely then say that the number of countries in the world is a minimum of 228. Because how you define a country has got various parameters. It is about population, it is about the size. So there's a debate about this. But CIA World Factbook actually compiles data of 228 countries of the world. Alright, so whenever you get time, you can go to this particular site. You will find entire information about each and every country at one place. Alright, that'll be really helpful for all of you all.
Yes.
Yes, now coming back to our session. Okay, sir is...
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
It's visible now?
Yeah. So we can
okay.
see.
Now, out of these 228 countries that we just talked about, we are talking about how is a country a developed country, or why is a country called a developed country, or why is a country an underdeveloped country, or a developing country, less developed country. There are various categories. Alright, so again here I would like to ask your own question. Those who want to answer can quickly answer this. Alright, can I say that the number of cars per thousand in a country can be a good indicator of the development of this particular country?
Everyone, come on. There is one question.
How many cars per thousand people? Can that be a good indicator of the development stage? Gaurav says no. Everybody says no. Okay, good. Okay. There is only one person, Zaka, who says yes.
And Ishan is saying yes. Okay.
Not necessary. Okay, so most of you don't agree to this. Fine. Now, one more question. How many people in a country have a smartphone per thousand? How many people per thousand have a smartphone of their own? Can that be a good indicator of the development stage? No, sir. Only car cannot. Okay, car is not only a technology indicator. Okay, good. Fine. Good. Yes. Harshit says yes. Okay. So most of you still don't agree to this, but now everybody is saying yes. Good. So there is the change of opinion. Now, how many doctors and scientists are there per 1,000? Can that be an indicator? Cars, phones may not be a priority for an agrarian country. Doesn't mean they are not developed. Very good. Yes, maybe smartphone, maybe. Okay. Good. So a few of you are agreeing to this fact. Now, why I'm asking this question about cars and smartphone is, what is common between car and smartphone? You want to buy a car, you want to buy a smartphone. What is common between both of them? Can you tell me? Yes, it can be. What is? Yes, it can be. Okay.
Money.
Okay, it is money. Alright. So ultimately, whether you want to buy a car, you want to buy a smartphone, an air conditioner, or a house of your own, ultimately people must have money to buy all these things. Alright. And hence, the basic indicator that divides the countries of the world into 4 categories is the indicator of money, which we call as per capita income. Average income per person is that particular indicator. Alright, so in this example, in the slide, you can see that the 3 countries that we have taken. One is a country called Nigeria, second one is India, and third one is Norway. Why these 3 countries? Because like the Republic of Congo and Sudan and Liberia and Algeria and Nigeria and Tanzania, most of the underdeveloped countries of the world you will find concentration of them somewhere around the river Congo. Right, so you will have the most poorest of the poor countries over there. So these countries basically are called as less developed countries. Alright, like countries like Nigeria. Alright, then we have countries like India, which are developing. And now again I'm going to tell you all one thing. I want answers from this for this particular question. You all know that India is a developing country, right? Can I say that India will remain a developing country at least for the next 50 years? Can I say that? India is a developing country and will remain a developing country at least for the next 50 years. No. No. People are saying no and yes, maybe yes. Okay, there's one person called Gigantic Giant who seems is not interested in this class at all.
No, sir, these are some spammers, these are not any student. There's some spammers. Their job itself is to disrupt something.
Okay.
It is not a student. It is sometimes bots also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Right. So many of you feel that India will remain developing for another 50 years. Is that what you're saying? So before we find the answer for this, you must all know why and when and who calls countries by different names. Alright. So for you all to understand, in a nutshell, there are 4 ways of differential classifying economies of the world. An economy can be an underdeveloped economy. It can be a developing economy on the basis of per capita income. There are 4 categories, and who does that? And that is done by the World Bank. All right, you call it as World Bank classification. That would be our next slide. All right, so this is on the left side. You can see the flow of this presentation that we're going to do today. Okay. So is there a slide missing, sir?
Yeah, sir. Can you just go back in case if you can just go back? Yeah, just a moment. I'll just share it.
Okay. So should I stop the share?
Yeah. If you can just stop the share. Yeah, let me just check over here.
The slide where I put numbers.
Yeah, so it is right after that slide. Yeah, here it is. It is visible to the students, sir.
Okay, good. Good. So there are 4 categories of countries in the world. A country can be a low income economy, or a middle income economy, or upper middle income economy, or a high income economy, and that is on the basis of per capita income of a particular country. As you can see at the top, we've written World Bank classification. So every year in the month of July, the World Bank makes changes in this classification, a slight 5 to 10% here and there. Alright, does not have a large amount of change, but as you can see, any country whose per capita income is less than $1036, and you all know what is the meaning of per capita income? It is the national income of a country which is divided by its population. So total national income of a country by its population, whatever number comes in, that is called as the average income per person of that country. Alright. So low income economy. When we say Nigeria is a low income economy, what does that mean? It necessarily means that the per capita income of Nigeria is below $1036. Republic of Congo has a per capita income of $700, 700. Sudan has a per capita income of $590. So average income per person per annum, if it is less than $1036, the country is called as a low income economy. Low income economies are also known as underdeveloped countries. Alright, so low income economy is a less developed country which is having a per capita income of less than $1036. Alright, now if that country moves one category up, its income is anything more than $1036 but less than $4045, the country becomes a lower middle income economy. It is also called as less developed economy. So all 228 countries in the world have to find a place in any of these 4 categories. Alright, if the income goes up beyond 4045 and it is less than 12535, it becomes the upper middle income economy, where India is our upper middle income economy because our per capita income is $7200 US. Alright, and any economy which is above 12535 is called as a high income economy or a developed economy. Countries like Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, these are all economies which go to this category of high income developed economies. Alright, so in today's class, we would like to understand the simple question. We just have half an hour more. Alright, so we would like to understand a simple question basically. What does it take for an economy to become a developed economy? Alright, why is the economy an underdeveloped economy? why is the economy developing and why do some economies go to the stage of developing? That there are some economies in the world who have got per capita income which is $1 lakh plus, $100,000 plus. All right. Okay. So Harshit has got a very good, interesting thing. Number of countries in the world by Google is 195, and then you say there are 228 countries. All right. So I told you all how to define a country is having different parameters. All right. Some academicians feel that a country having X population less than that is not a country at all. It can only be a county of some country. All right. But when we talk about a country, governance of that country, if it is resting in the hands of a particular elected democracy or elected parliament, we call that as a country. So there are various ways to classify countries, and you can go there and see this in the CIA World Fact Book.
Yeah, sir, just over there. Yeah, so Harshit, just want to add one point. So I mean, there are many countries which are non-sovereign countries. Okay, so what you're talking about, 193 are sovereign countries, those who have their own legal system, economy, currency, probably, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, there are something called non-sovereign countries, sovereign countries. What Sir mentioned is as per the records of CIA. Just for your information, I mean, nothing too much debate about, right? So, if you look at purely sovereign countries, yes, it is somewhere around 193 to 195, but the data which is being maintained is of many more countries, right? Yeah. So, sir, can we help our students, because I think they have fairly understood what is this classification. So, can we quickly help them understand that what is that cycle and how the complete economy works?
That is what we are moving to now. That's
so, I'm just stopping my sharing. If you can just share your screen.
I'll share my screen, right? So, is it visible now, sir?
Yeah. So we can directly go to that slide. I mean, where we can make them understand that part, right?
Okay. So now we were over here, and there are four types of countries that we just discussed. Now, one word answer of all these questions about how does an economy go and grow. That is what our content of today's class basically is. How does a country, an economy, go and grow? The answer of this particular country, of this particular question, lies in only one word. And again, I'm asking you all one question to just see if you're alert or not. All right, what would that one word be? My question is very simple. How does an economy go and grow? How does the economy become a developed economy? And the answer to that lies in only one word.
Okay.
Does anybody of you find that one word? Population, GDP, per capita income, GDP, okay, that is what we have talked about. GDP, national income, per capita income. But how can the GDP increase when our country got more income from foreign countries? Okay, Gaurav official, GDP, Shivam Bharati, technology, tax, good. Very good answers. Education, very good. Per capita, effective use of resources, very good, Chetan. Investments, production, very nice. But the word I was looking for is the word transactions. Think about this. The more the amount of transactions, the more would the development of the economy be. And transaction means what? Transactions means demand. I always say that an economy has to be a demand-based economy. As long as demand is coming for the products of that country, the country will keep growing. Alright, and that is fundamentally what we have to talk about today, and that is how does an economy go and grow? And for the economy's growth, ultimately what should happen? When can people buy more cars? When can people buy more air conditioners? When can people buy more smartphones? They can do all this when they are getting good jobs. And who gives jobs to the people? The jobs are given by the firms. And when the firms give jobs, the firms give more jobs when there is more demand. So it all again boils down to what? It boils down to one word called as demand. Alright, higher the demand, more the transactions, more is the circular flow. That is what we have to talk about now. Alright, so somebody rightly used the word resources. Chetan used the word effective use of resources. Alright, so we are going to spend 5 minutes beyond this point on this word called resources. That's the next slide precisely, and most of you have heard of that. There are 4 in number, which are land, labor, capital, and enterprise. Alright, when we use the word economics, it comes from the word economy, and economy is basically about wealth of a nation, and wealth of a nation in terms of productive resources. So the 4 things that you can see right now on the screen, land, labor, capital, enterprise, are collectively called as resources, also called as factors of production, also called as inputs. Alright, any one of them is missing and the country can't produce anything. You want to produce a car, you want to produce a satellite, you want to produce cheese and butter and jam, whatever you want to produce, your country must have land, labor, capital, enterprise. Alright, so that is basically called as the word resources. So any firm, Tata Motors wants to produce a car, Infosys wants to produce a software, or AC Cement company wants to produce a bag of cement. Whatever you want to produce, your country must have land, labor, capital, and enterprise. Now the problem is, different countries of the world have been gifted by different amount of resources. Right? Like for example, India might have got large amount of cheap labor, but it might not have technology. Dubai might have large amount of crude oil, but might not be able to produce the best quality mangoes. Alright, so different countries of the world have been gifted by different amount of resources, and because all these resources are limited, we have this beautiful subject called economics. Economics is a subject because resources is a scarcity ka problem. Alright, so because resources are scarce, they have to be used very, very cautiously. Alright, and how best you make use of resources is the core content of this subject called economics.
Sir, sir, very interesting question coming up before we go ahead. So Aniket is asking, so will robots increase or decrease the economy? I mean, it will.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
But you must understand that robot basically is a man-made productive asset. Alright, it is a man-made productive asset with the use of technology. So robots itself are a part of capital. We will need to spend large amount of resources to buy robots. Alright, if you take the example of China and compare that with India, China has got 330 robots per 1,000 laborers, and India has got only 6 robots per 1,000 laborers.
Oh, that's amazing
That again
numbers.
coming down to that again goes to the terminology of economics, which is again capital. So robots itself are capital. Alright. So now, when we talk about the word land, what is land? Land is a common name given to 4 things. And those 4 things are forests, fisheries, farms, and mines. These are all free gifts of nature, so we can call them as what? As land. Because the land of that particular country has gifted the country with these 4 things. So first is land. Alright, second is called as labor, which can also be of 2 types, skilled and unskilled. India might have large amount of unskilled labor, but when it comes to skilled labor, Infosys wants to hire 10,000 software developers. Can we get them tomorrow morning? It's a difficult task because it's a skilled labor. So skilled labor again is going to be a limited resource. Capital, as I just said, we have 6 robots per 1,000 laborers. So capital is again a limited resource. Alright, and last one is enterprise. Alright, if I take a sample of any 1,000 persons in India and I ask them, how many of you want a great job? At least 995 people say yes, we want a great job. So if everybody only wants a great job, who will create those jobs? There are only a very few people who actually think of starting their own business, who are willing to take the risk of doing business, who will combine land, labor, capital with their enterprising skills and start the business. And those few people are called as the enterprise. Alright, so land, labor, capital, enterprise are the resources, and in any country, these resources are owned by the households. Alright, if a management college is running, if a B school is running, Symbiosis College is running, the land to Symbiosis was given to the college by some farmer who came from the household. I work there as a faculty, I come from the household. Alright, money to build the buildings of this college came from a bank, and who gave the money to a bank? It again came from the households, and the promoters of the college were also households. Alright. Okay, so I'll come up to the comments a bit later. I've seen the comments. Alright, so in any country, land, labor, capital, enterprise are all owned by whom? They are owned by the households. Alright, so the next topic that we are continuing with this is called as the 5-sector model. I just said that if an economy is to be a developed economy, then this economy must have transactions, must create demand. So today we want to understand the demand is generated by whom? Who is responsible for creation of demand in a particular country? Alright, so unless and until we don't understand those areas which generate demand, we won't be able to make any choice of policy about how can we accelerate demand and how can we create more jobs. Alright, so next what we are going to go to is the circular flow model. Alright, so the topic we are discussing is the 5-sector model, 5 sectors of an economy. It can be Nigeria or India or Norway or Sudan or Saudi Arabia or France, whichever country in the world. This is a fundamental model which is useful for every country in the world. Every country in the world only has got 5 sectors. All transactions in the country are conducted only between these 5 sectors. By the end of today's class, if you are able to memorize these 5 sectors, I would say that this class has been successful. Alright, any demand that comes necessarily comes between these 5 sectors, and that is how you will see how an economy goes and grows. That is what our current topic is. Alright, you can see at the top we have written 2-sector model. Right? So the first 2 sectors of every economy are households and firms. You start your bike and roam around any highway, any street of India, you will find India's first 2 sectors. You'll either see people who have organized themselves in households. You can see bungalows, posh bungalows, villas, flats, whatever. Those are all households. Or if it is not a household, then it can be what? It can be some commercial enterprise. It can be a factory, it can be a shop, it can be an office. There's some commercial activities going on. You call that as firms. Right? So the first 2 basic fundamental sectors of the economy are households and firms. Alright, transactions in houses and firms is the basic circular flow that we are talking about. Alright, so whenever firms want to produce anything, Infosys company wants to build a software, Toyota wants to produce a car, or AC Cement company wants to produce a bag of cement. To produce anything, as I told you all a few minutes back, the firms need resources. And who are the owners of the resources? Who are the owners of the resources?
Come on, guys.
Who are the owners of resources? Who owns resources? I just talked about this a few minutes back. Households, correct. Cost service, perfect in this. Alright. Owners of the resources are households. So whenever firms want to produce anything, they have to go to the households and they have to demand the factors. And the factors are what? 4: land, labor, capital, and enterprise. So whenever firms get any demand, to fulfill that demand, they need to produce goods. To produce goods, they go to the households and demand the factors from the households: land, labor, capital, enterprise. I mean, households will give their factors. Will the households give the factors free of cost? Some company tells me, sir, please come and work for us. Will I go there free of cost? They expect something in return. Correct. Nisha is correct. They expect something in return. Those who give land, they expect rent. Those who give labor, you have to pay to them wages. Those who give capital, you have to pay to them interest. And those who give enterprise, you have to give them the profits. So 4 things that you have to remember now. Land, labor, capital, enterprise are the inputs. Rent, wage, interest, profit is the input price. The firm has to pay these 4 things to the households, those who give these factors of production. Alright, so to produce anything in the world, the firms have to go to the households and demand their factors. And when the households give the factors, you can see the arrows that are moving in circular motion. Households have given to the factors land, labor, capital, enterprise, for which firms give to the households rent, wage, interest, profit, and the rent, wage, interest, profit that is earned by everybody in the country itself becomes national income of a country. Alright, so what I want you to understand is there are only 4 legal ways of earning money. I repeat, there are only 4 legal ways of earning. There is no 5th way. If you give land, you get rent. If you give labor, you get wages. If you give capital, you get interest. And if you give your enterprise, you get profit. There is no, if you're a smuggler, you will earn money. But you can also find yourself behind bars. That's an illegal way of earning money. Right? So legally, you can earn only money in 4 ways: rent, wage, interest, profit. Sorry. The rent, wage, interest, profit, which is earned by everybody in the country, becomes national income. So these 100 rupees are going up and down in the circular motion. Alright. Whenever households get money, what can households do? I get a job. I start earning money. What can I do? I can buy a car. Demand goes to whom? To a firm. I can buy a pizza. Demand goes to whom? To a firm. I can buy a shirt. Demand goes to whom? To a firm. So whenever households earn money, they demand goods from the firms. Right? Are the firms happy to get this demand? Yes. Stock market, Akshay is saying stock market, that is the capital. We'll come to that in some time. Right? So households demand goods from the firms. Good or bad for the firms? It is always good for the firms. Whenever firms get this demand, what the firms do? They again go to the households, hire factors, produce goods, sell goods, get the money. The same money goes back to the households in the form of rent, wage, interest, profit. If there is more income, there is more consumption. Households demand is called as consumption. Alright. So if there is more income, there is more consumption. More consumption means more demand. More demand means more jobs, means more demand and more money. And the circular flow model will keep on cracking in this particular manner. Right? So, as long as households are earning money and spending money, can I say the firms are happy? As long as households earn money and they spend money on firms, the firms are happy. They produce more. To produce more, they hire more factors. If they hire more factors, there are more jobs. More jobs means more income. More income means more demand. More demand means more production, means more GDP and more national income. Alright. Now this is a fully sealed circular flow because households are not spending money anywhere else. But in reality, will households ever spend the entire amount of 100 rupees? The answer is no. They will always develop a tendency of savings. And hence we have a third sector which we call as what? Which we call as the banks. Alright. So if we consider that people save 20%, then households will now only spend how much? Households will now only spend 80 rupees. So will the firms become unhappy now? In the two sector model, the household used to spend 100 rupees. But because of the banks, what will happen now? People will save and the firms will only get demand worth 80 rupees. So whenever households earn money and do not send the money back to the firms, we use the word leakage. So the first leakage that we can see is the savings. So saving is a leakage out of the economy. Right? Now because of the leakage, the consumer demand has gone down to 80 rupees, 20 rupees ka loss ho gaya. Alright, but 20 rupees have gone to the banks. Now if banks get 20 rupees and somebody of you wants to start, Aniket wants to start a new business, Nikhil wants to start a new business, will they like to have capital from a bank? Now savings of these households will go to the banks and banks can then give this money to the firms for the purpose of making investments. So whenever firms make investment, what happens? They again buy goods produced by some other firms. When Tata Motors wants to produce cars, it requires grinding machines, milling machines, molding machines, conveyor belts, trolleys. All these have to be purchased from some other companies. So investment is also demand, which again comes back to the firms. So now the demand to the firms is coming from households and firms in the form of investments. There's a three sector model. So three sector model, the total demand comes from households and firms. Alright? But in practice, there is one more sector which we call as the government. Does the government allow you to spend the entire amount that you earn? The government always asks, yes, it's a cycle, that's right. The circular flow model, Samiksha, is a cycle. Alright, so the fourth sector is the government. And what is the job of the government? Government job is to impose a tax. Alright, so when we impose a tax, will that be one more leakage? The first leakage was saving. The second leakage is a tax. Right? So tax goes to the government. That much money again, if it does not come back to the firms. But when the government gets the money, what does the government do of it? Does Mr. Narendra Modi himself go to the field and construct a road or a dam? No, private companies get these contracts. GMR company gets a contract of building a airport, developing an airport. IRB company gets a job of construction of an express highway. So government also demands goods from firms, and that is how you get one more demand, which is 40 rupees. So first leakage was saving, second leakage was the tax. Alright, and when firms get money not from households, we call it as injections. So investment was one injection, as you can see. The second injection is the government expenditure. Alright. Now, if transactions in a country are only between these sectors, C plus I plus G, C is the demand of households, alright, I is the demand of firms, and G is the demand of the government. So if there is demand only from these three sectors, you call such economies as closed economies. These economies are called as what? So what is a closed economy? Any economy which is transactions only between these four sectors, where demand is only coming from households or firms or government, is called as a closed economy. Like China was a closed economy in 1970. What does that mean? Leakage decreases economics. No, leakages makes Aniket. Leakages makes firms unhappy and injections make firms happy. But money for injections comes from leakages. They are also essential part. If you listen to any budget of the finance minister, they always say that I want people to spend more and save more. Because saving is a leakage, but those savings again become investments, come back to the firms. So leakages will make money for injections. Injections are good and leakages are bad principally, but if leakages are not there, you won't have money for injections. Alright, and then we come to the last sector, which is rest of the world, which again engages into two parts, which is imports and exports. Whenever India will import goods, can I say it will be leakage? Can I say imports of India will be a leakage?
Come on guys, just use based on what sir has explained. Can we say imports is a leakage and exports is an injection? Everyone, what do you feel? Nisha is saying yes. Chetan is saying yes. Aniket C is saying no. Most of them are saying yes, sir.
Yes. So most of them have got the concept correct. Because whenever Indians will import goods, they will have to send money abroad. And money going abroad is a leakage. But when we export goods, money will be coming inside India from other countries. So export is always a injection and import is a leakage. Alright, so now you can see one equation at the top which says national income Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus NX. Alright, and that is what I wanted to clarify in this particular session. The demand for a particular country's goods comes from four sectors. C is the demand of households, which is consumption. I is the demand of firms, which is investment. G is the demand of government, which is the government expenditure. And NX is the net demand of the other countries, which is net export, which is imports minus exports. Now, as long as C is going up, and I is going up, and G is going up, and NX is going up, can I say that more and more firms in the country are getting good amount of business? As long as C plus I plus G plus NX is more, okay, then good. Isha is also giving a good answer. Alright, so as long as C plus I plus G plus NX is going up, the firms of the country are getting more and more demand. To fulfill that demand, the firms have to go to the households. That creates more jobs. More jobs means more income. More income means more purchasing power. More purchasing power means more consumption and more saving. And more saving means more investment. And more taxes means more government spending. So as long as money is flowing in a circular manner, the economy will be happy. Alright, so developed countries will always have very vigorous and vibrant circular flows. Right? The Indian mentality, what is the Indian mentality? Indians have a large amount of tendency of saving. Whatever amount of people are there right now in this class, every household in India has got at least 1 kg of gold. That 1 kg of gold has been stashed in your lockers in the bank. Is that money creating any new demand? No. Is it creating any new jobs? No. Will the circular flows be on? No. So answer of the question, how does an economy go and grow, lies in only one single small thing. Economies grow as long as there is more and more demand and more circular flows. And demand comes from whom? In a developed country, consumers are spending on everything of their choice. Consumers are spending on cars, on branded shoes and branded clothes. Demand for all these things is going up. And firms are making huge amount of investments. The scale of operations is extremely large. And the governments create the best possible infrastructure for which they spend more amount of money. And because of the quality of their products, these countries also export more goods than what they import. So as long as C plus I plus G plus NX keeps increasing, what happens is firms of the country get more and more demand. To fulfill that demand, they have to produce more GDP, gross domestic product produced in the country. And to produce more GDP, they have to go to the households and demand land, labor, capital, enterprise. When firms get more demand, they produce more. To produce more, they hire more factors. More factors hired means more jobs. More jobs means more income. More income means more consumption. And more consumption means more demand.
Sir, just one question. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, sir. Sir, we have mentioned the formula C plus I plus G, NX. NX, import minus export. Should it be export minus import?
It is export minus import actually.
Right. So here, Harshit has one very interesting question. We just mentioned that, yes, everyone, I was going through your question. So Harshit has mentioned that in the process that we explained, we mentioned that whenever there is a leakage, so leakage leads to the investments, that is injections. But import is a leakage. Does it lead to injections in any way?
We cannot look at import or export in isolation. That is why we have clubbed it as net export is export minus import. So only if imports are more and exports are less, then it's a net leakage. For example, if India imports goods worth $500 billion and exports goods only worth $300 billion, then we say that there's a net leakage of $200 billion. Right, sir?
Yes. Okay.
So imports alone are not bad. When you compare that to the exports, then you can see if it's a net leakage or net injection. So developed countries will always have positive net export function. Means what? They will export $300 billion and import only $100 billion. So they will have a net injection of $200 billion. You cannot look only at import or only at export. You have to look at the net difference of the net function of net export, which is export minus import. Only if the net export function is negative, means you have imported more than what you have exported, then it's a net injection, then that's a net leakage.
Yeah, so I think Harshit, that probably answers your query. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Nikhil, you will understand that long run. Okay. Or yeah, just wait for some time, maybe. Right.
No. See, Nikhil is having a myopia. He wants to become engineer or a scientist or MBA HR or MBA finance. But when he has to go to the market and buy vegetables and decide whether he has to pay the fees of his kid or he has to buy a new car, he will then realize if this station was for that.
No, sir.
How to make best decisions.
No. So,
right.
Nikhil, that's fine. But then if you are reading newspaper, you will come across...
So we come towards the end of this flow now.
Sure.
So there are 5 sectors of every economy. Sum up the 5 sectors. The 5 sectors are, as you can see, households, firms, banks, governments, and rest of the world. Now, out of these 4, even if we have mentioned banks, the banks themselves don't create any demand. So out of these 5 sectors that we have seen, only 4 sectors directly demand goods from the firms. Households demand is called as consumption. Firms demand is called as investments. Government's demand is called as government expenditure. And net demand of the other countries, rest of the world, is called as net exports. So now we come back to the slide that we started with. Nigeria, India, Norway. Why is Norway developed? The answer is very simple. Norway has comparatively more transactions, more C, more I, more G, and more NX. And because C plus I plus G plus NX is more, alright, because all these things are more, what will happen? There will be more demand for the country's goods. More demand means more production, means more jobs, means more income, means more purchasing power, and more demand and more circular flows. The answer to the question lies in the fact, how are circular flows responsible for the development stage of a particular country? More the circular flows, more is the development stage of that particular country. Less the flows, less would be the demand, and hence less will production, less per capita income, and the country will be an underdeveloped country.
Okay, so now very interesting question coming up. So we have been talking about this physical goods and all, right? So some students are asking, okay, how is online money developed? So how will you include that model over here? The online money creation, the online wealth creation. So
online or offline, no, it has to be backed by the physical money itself. So digital is only a way of settling your dues. If I don't have money, I don't have online money also.
Okay.
So that is only a way of transactions, which has moved from the marketplace to the market space.
Right.
So it has to be backed by physical money. It has to be backed by the amount of income that you have. I can't spend anything if I don't earn anything.
Yes. Okay.
That is only a way to settle payments.
Right. So can you just allow me to share my screen so that I can just show certain questions?
I'll stop my share.
Yeah. So I'll just show you certain questions that probably students also had. So yeah, we have understood the circular flow. And guys, see, this session was once again to tell you, many of you might have studied this in 12th, but not all students have taken economics as a subject in 12th. You might be from PCM stream also. So this is for those who actually have a lack of that understanding. So it was to help them, right? Definitely. I mean, and yes, even if you have studied economics in the past, do you really understand the larger picture? So that was the objective with which we organized this session, right? Okay, now coming back to few other points, right? Okay, before we go ahead, guys, in case if you are new to this particular channel, YouTube channel of Unacademy, so just to quickly tell you, we are the India's largest online learning platform, and we conduct our daily live sessions. So if you want to attend my sessions, if you want to prepare for your CAT along with me, so you can attend my 6 PM sessions every day from Monday to Saturday. You can also attend the sessions on Unacademy Learning app. So please download this learning app and you can use my code SHA10 to unlock it, or if you want to go for the plus subscription. There are certain advantages that you enjoy with the plus subscription. So keep learning with us, guys. Some really interesting batches are coming up. So for example, my batch is starting from tomorrow. I have been reminding it so much because we start batches not very frequently. So here is an opportunity for you to enroll yourself to this batch and start preparation, right? You can go for that. Now there are certain questions. The first question is, sir, how the rates of bank loan changes. When I spoke to students, so they said, okay, sir, we would like to understand that how these loan rates are changed, the interest rates are changed. So can you just throw some light on that, if you can?
Yes, sir. So, sir, anything which is about price. It can be rates of bank loans, it can be foreign exchange, it can be the price of gold, it can be price of petrol, whatever prices, they all change because of the market forces of demand and supply. Typically, the rate of bank loans change if there's shortage of money in the country. And what is the meaning of shortage of money? If many more people want to start new businesses, if many more people want to enroll for engineering colleges where the fees are very high, if many more people in India want to buy new cars and new houses and they want loans, the demand of money will increase. Now, the RBI does not print money by looking at the demand of money. The supply of money is always constant in the economy. Alright, so as the constant supply of demand of money increases, and they have all done this in 12th standard, the money demand curve shifts to the right, creating a shortage of money. And if there is shortage of money, the price of money, which itself is the bank interest, that is going to increase.
Okay.
If less people want to demand less loans, there is less demand of houses, less demand of cars, the demand for money will go down, there is surplus of money, and rate of interest will come down.
Absolutely. So I'm sure all of you have understood.
Any price that fluctuates happens because of the concept of surplus and shortage. In a shortage, price will go up, in a surplus, price will come down.
Okay, sir, there is just one question. I mean, I could have also answered this question, but Chetan wants to understand, okay, in general, I mean, finance and economics, how do we differentiate these two? What relates to what? So economics, of course, you have, but if you just want to, once again, because ultimately we talk about money in both.
Economics, one part of economics is about finance.
Okay.
Now, labor economics is going to directly have an effect on the HR stream of your management.
Okay.
So economics has to do something with marketing, something with finance, something with HR. So one segment of economics probably can be useful for finance. Alright, but in scope, economics is much wider and much larger than the finance, because finance is one functional area of business.
Okay.
Right, and economics is much broader in concept and scope.
Right. So Chetan, economics doesn't only deal with money. We spoke about transactions. Transactions can be of skill, it can be of labor, it can be of goods. So in finance, you don't talk about goods and all. You talk about money, right? Utilization of money, planning of money, right? So I hope that point is clear. Hi Gulshan, we can see you. Gulshan, your presence is marked. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so one more question. If you just want to explain, I mean, guys, we are rushing out of time, so we'll have to quickly wind up. We'll have to make way for other sessions. But why rupee depreciates? So if you just want to mention that.
It's again what we just discussed. Now, if many more students from India want to go abroad, all right, if many more students from India want to go abroad for learning some MS programs, they'll need more amount of dollars. Tourists from India want to visit Niagara Falls, they will need more dollars. Indian firms want to make investments in the US, they'll need more dollars, demand for dollars will increase. Supply of dollars remains constant, demand goes up, shortage of dollars, price of dollars increases. And it itself means that the rupee has depreciated and the dollar has appreciated. Again, it is about demand and supply. Inversely, if more foreigners want to come into India for investments, for visiting the new Ram Mandir that is going to take place, or the Taj Mahal that is there, alright, more tourists coming into India, more investments coming into India, more people coming into India for education, the demand for rupees will go up. Demand for rupees goes up, what happens? The shortage of rupees, rupee appreciates, dollar depreciates. So it's again about shortage and surplus, which is again coming from the concepts of demand and supply of money. In this case, it's a dollar.
Yeah, Harshit, we have checked your point. So sir mentioned that thing, Harshit, once again, that you normally don't look at imports. Yeah, so when you import something, you try to produce something, right? And you look at total imports and exports both together. And if there is your net import is more than exports, definitely you can say there is more leakage, right? As simple as that. Okay.
Correct. But the broader, sir, just 1 second. I mean, if there's a confusion about this, if imports are done of capital items, like we import technology, and then we build more machines and more firms, more technological sound companies in India, it will again create more amount of productivity in India. So that might directly not result into a positive net export, but imports of capital goods are good for the country as such, because productivity of the country can go up because of improved technology.
Yes, I
So
think
in that way, imports are not always bad.
okay, so Harshit was thinking ke, when imports are more and exports are less, matlab it's bad. But as you rightly pointed out, and guys, this is the reason that we have this session. See, we look at things just by export minus import profitable, but we don't look at the broader picture. So I hope Harshit, now you are okay. Okay, so fine. Yeah, there could have been many more questions, guys. I mean, we understand someone has recently joined and he was asking about, I think, someone, I saw that message. He's asking about macro and microeconomics concepts. So guys, let me tell you, this session is going to be there in the playlist. You can play it as many times as you want. Ajit Sir has explained all the concepts very nicely. So I'm sure all of you, would have enjoyed the session. Sir, yeah, the students are posting the question. Maybe we can create a channel, guys. You can post it on Telegram group also after the session, and I'll pass it to the sir and I'll get the answers. So feel free, and we will try to have more such interaction. This is just one of those sessions that we have kept. Okay, we will definitely discuss about that. Don't forget to download Unacademy Learning app and keep learning with us, guys. So that's it as far as this session is concerned. Once again, thank you, sir, for being with us. It really would have helped the students. I'm sure the way you explain the concepts, particularly the macroeconomics. So yeah, guys, it would be great if you can just join me to thank sir for accepting our request. Everyone, before we end this session, do not forget to like the session, and please share it with all your friends. And yes, join me tomorrow for my sessions. 9:30 p.m. We are starting a new plus batch. So please enroll for that. Please go for plus using my code SHAH10 and keep learning, guys. Let's crack it. So thank you, Ajit sir, once again. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Bye bye. Take care.